Welcome. It's been over a year since I've actually filmed any videos, and I'm going to attempt to make a series based around some of the basics of Luciferianism. One of the key points of Luciferianism is that we are significantly different in ideology and philosophy from other particular paths, be it right-hand path or considered left-hand path. And we are inherently, and at our core foundation, the left-hand path. So it's time to define, without the kind of magic symbolism, what actually is the path and the ideology of Luciferianism, and how does it compare to Satanism, per se. I'd like to first say that Luciferianism, in its modern kind of manifestation, appeared in an obscure handwritten grimoire by a man named Charles Pace. In the early 1960s, and this was pre-Church of Satan. However, he did correspond with Anton LaVey, and Charles Pace was significantly focused and called himself Luciferian, and the reason he did that was because his particular magical path was satanic witchcraft, or that of Set, the ancient magic of Egypt. And I'm working through an actual grimoire that was handwritten by Pace, and it's authentically Egyptian in that the language utilized is not from the Ptolemy period, but actually pre-Alexander. So you have a significant area of authenticity that's blended with the Hermetic and ceremonial magic of, obviously, his Golden Dawn training. Charles Pace viewed that Set was the first rebel, and it's a principal idea to challenge perceived thought and to really take center for yourself and not rely on outer sources to either assist you or help you. And when you take that and you mix it with the great symbolism and ideology of Anton LaVey, which is put yourself first with consideration for the consequences. Luciferianism is an ideology that is centered around the self being the center and the motivator of all things that happen in your life. And that includes magic, that includes your daily activities, that includes your career, whatever your future, whatever you foresee it as. The first thing that Luciferianism does is take you out of the four walls of the Christian dogma our society is putting in. And what I mean by that is everyone perceives good and evil to be dark and light. And even if you're not Christian, you still have that wrapped mindset that that light is good and dark is evil, and you have that attached moral foundation to that as well, to where being subjective, it appears as if you're out of Christianity. I don't believe in God, but I'm still following this restrictive guideline of this harsh duality that our society has taught us. So let's go in deeper with light and darkness and how those are different in Luciferianism. So Luciferianism is the kind of survival and remanifestation of the pre-Judeo-Christian religions, and that includes all of the gods. I want to be careful in saying paganism, because then people automatically associate it with nature worship and kind of that whole far right side of light and goodness. And while most people say what's wrong with that is that we're missing one key component, that which is within ourselves and nature. Every single human being has a dark and predatory side to them. And the predatory side merely is the instinct to survive. It's the instinct to become something. And it's that selfish aspect that drives us and motivates us along. if you look at what actually is predatory, and I'm not speaking of harming other people, it has nothing to do with that. It's the drive to make sure you survive at all costs, and you're always going to feed from something else to grow stronger. And we do that in every way. Christians attempt to do it in the form of Jesus and drinking his blood and things like that. And Luciferians choose to do it within the natural world. And we do that by feedback with interaction with society, being productive, and also from drawing of energy and feeling that we are able to live within the laws and the consistency of nature. Nature is destructive and creative. If you ever watch, you have that delicate cycle of predator versus prey. And that's something that's not ugly, it's just a beautiful fact. And when something is made to perish by natural interaction, then something else is reborn that's beautiful. So Luciferianism really stands out in the fact that, it is a pre-pagan or pre-Judeo-Christian concept, in that it recognizes the dark and the light within humanity and within nature. Now, light, people always perceive as being something that is good and glorious and associated with the One. And I'd like to say first that there is no specific One. There is no supreme deity or God. Luciferians don't believe in an anthropomorphic figure who watches over you, who gives you things if you pray to it. That's a Judeo-Christian concept. Most of the gods are seen as aspects of nature, but also manifestations. Our interaction is manifestations from within. So the light is the conquering spirit. Let's take, for example, a figure of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great is often considered very good, and he's shown in a light context, and he's a great uniter of culture. But that all that he brought to the world, he built off of the skulls of his enemies. And he was known for genocide and mass slaughter when people would not submit to his sort of life plan for everyone. And I think that's a beautiful thing, in that, it takes leaders to actually go through darkness and to build things from the predatory stance to create something new and beautiful. Christianity attempted to build something beautiful in that they wanted to take man to the heights of heaven and escape the world. So they had things like Inquisition and things like that, which slaughtered so many people. They restricted knowledge, learning, books, all of those things. But that's a bad example. Actually, Alexander the Great's probably a wonderful example in what he did for the world, for learning, and for the betterment of man. He brought cultures together. And you see that in other viewed heroes of the day. And it's good to know that for every light, there's something that was trampled, that was destroyed, because it was in due course through the laws of the strong and the wise to actually build something new and wonderful. So when people ask me, is war, war is a horrible thing? Well, yeah, war is a horrible thing to an extent, but in the overall picture of humanity, it is good because often new things arise from it, new cultures, advancements, and so forth. And so darkness, how is darkness? Everyone considers darkness evil. If it's dark, it's bad. There's morally corrupt things in there, people who are really off balance and just not right with society. And it couldn't be further from the truth. So darkness is an aspect that we relate to because it starts within. It's our origin. In my new book, Masking Whole, we discuss Tiamat and the foundation of darkness, and from the waters of which we came. And that kind of goes hand in hand with evolution and science.